my name is Ross Elliott. I have two titles, and there's an interesting story behind why I have two titles. I'm the Chief Technology Officer. We were talking a little while ago. I'm one of the founders of Axelis. We built Axelis with the idea there was a better way to do supply chain. My background is, I know I look a hell of a lot younger than this, but I think I've been in this business for 37 years, working on supply chain things. So since 1974 to today, I've been doing the same thing, which you think would get repetitive and boring, but it never does because the technology industry changes, the logistics industry changes. So I've had the opportunity to travel around the world, giving speeches, writing software, doing that kind of stuff. It's great to have a chance to be here. But I wound up with two titles simply because I went to go to a meeting that wasn't technical, and they wouldn't let me in. They said, "You're a Chief Technology Officer. This is for business people. You're in the wrong place." So I had to add EVP just so they let me into the meeting. So don't be fooled by the title. I'm really the Chief Technology Officer for the company. What we want to do today is try to talk a little bit about what's going on in the logistics and the supply chain business, and then how some new technology advances can help make differences in your business by taking advantage of some of these technological changes. By the way, let me introduce myself. Patrick? Ross. Nice to meet you. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. No. Never late. It's always good to make a grand entrance, right? That's you try to come last person to a party, that kind of thing. So what I want to do today is start with this concept of a BHAG. Does everybody know what a BHAG is? A term you've heard before? So there's a book out there called Good to Great, written by a guy named Jim Collins. Jim Collins is an author. He is currently located in Colorado at the University of Colorado, which happens to be close to where we're headquartered. Purely coincidence. He wrote a book 10 years ago or so called Built to Last. The notion of that book was all around what some of the leading companies in the world had done to maintain themselves over multiple decades of management and maintain that innovative spirit and so on and so forth. The next book he wrote was Good to Great, and it's all about setting for yourself big, hairy, audacious goals. That's what the BHAG stands for, big, hairy, audacious goals. So set your goals high, and then build the tools, buy the tools, organize yourselves around a methodology to accomplish those BHAGs. And I can't say big, hairy, audacious goals more than once without chuckling, so that's why we shortened it. Actually, he shortened it to BHAG, and I go down that path. So if you're looking at your business from a supply chain mentality, what would be reasonable BHAGs to think about? One of those would be to optimize the supply chain and jump-starting the business in what is a fairly volatile global economy. I don't think anybody would argue with that. We've seen lots of ups and downs. In the U.S. economy in particular, we see the stock market in the U.S. jump 2,000 points, fall 3,000 points. So we just managed to get back where it was when we started at the beginning of 2011, about 3 or 4 days ago. And you know, for a business person, those are interesting. So how do you optimize what you're doing from a supply chain perspective while everything around you is jumping around, up, down, sideways, including your suppliers? The second one is probably motherhood and apple pie. How do I do more with less? How do I increase productivity, streamline my operations, maximize my efficiency, lower my costs? There's probably nobody in business today that wouldn't take those 4 things and say, those are big, hairy, audacious goals. Easy to say, hard to do, but you know, let's say them. Let's see if there's ways to accomplish them. And I'm going to give you some ideas, anyway, of things I've seen that have worked over the course of my 37 years in this business. And then the thing that probably steals money away from all of this the most effectively is order accuracy. There was a study done in North America a couple of years ago that said, what does it cost when I make a mistake in an order, when I ship the wrong product, when I ship it at the wrong time, when I package it incorrectly and it arrives damaged, when, whatever it might be, somehow my customer didn't get what they expected to get from me when they expected to get it. What does it cost? And the answer was $225. On average, $225 to fix a problem when I ship things incorrectly the first time. Now that may not be a big deal if it's a $20,000 part. It's a real problem when it's a 20-cent part. But it's a 20-cent part that particular customer had to have to get their operations back in business. You don't want to spend a couple $100 fixing a problem for a $5 part, $20 part. You don't want to spend it for anything if you can So, big, hairy, audacious goal, how do I increase the accuracy of what I pick, what I put in a box, the right box I put it in, the right way to ship it, to make sure that my customer service is what I've committed to my customer, and they come back to me, not because my price is lowest, but because my service is most reliable. When they buy from me, they know they're going to get what they want to get it, when they want to get it, and it gets there in pristine fashion and usable. Does that make sense? There's lots more we could do, but if we just focus on those three today, that'll be a fairly good accomplishment. Accenture is all that's left of a once proud accounting company. A global consulting organization, probably heard of them. I know they've got a big operation in Australia. I thought this was an interesting quote. And it gets back to those BHAGs. Executives aren't concerned about the ability to grow. They're not saying business isn't out there to grow. What they're saying is, I fear my ability to execute against growth. Now, in my 37 years in business, I've seen more companies grow out of business than go out of business. Go on hyper growth. You see it all the time. In the States, we see companies that franchises, chains that grow to the point where they can't manage it anymore, and then they crash because they've reached a peak that they can't sustain. So if we start looking at supply chain, it's the same kind of situation. If you want to grow the business and you want to look at those big, hairy, audacious goals as cornerstones, you have to make sure that the infrastructure is in place to support that growth, and it can't just be more and more people, because that's an expensive way to scale your business. And so technology has to play a role, some role in that overall. Good morning.
Morning.
Now, another interesting thing, this is a study by a company called Aberdeen Group earlier this year. And it would be an interesting test to see if you would agree with this. If you look at that statistic, what it says is the numbers in black are suppliers, the numbers in red are customers. So in the USA, 77% of the goods that they sell come from suppliers that are in North America. 73% are sold to customers in North America. So it says that imports, exports, roughly the same in terms of what's going on. Start looking at other places in the world. Australia and the Pacific Rim. 16% of goods are sourced in Australia, 39% of goods are sold in Australia. So when you have a supply chain, if those numbers are accurate, when you have a supply chain that is as extended as that, I'm bringing a lot of product into the country from offshore, and I'm selling a lot of product to customers offshore. It takes that whole supply chain optimization scenario and makes it more complicated, doesn't it? Because you've got lead times engaged. Now I have to worry about containers that are on boats coming into ports, going through customs, making sure they get transferred over to trucks, planes, vehicles somehow to get to me. And when I commit to a customer what I'm going to be able to deliver, I need to have information about all of that, so that, back to that order accuracy, I'm not saying, hey, I can ship something to you on Friday because I'm expecting the container to arrive at the port on Monday, and I'm expecting it to take a day to clear customs and another day to get to me, a day for me to unload it and put it away, and then I can ship it to you. Well, if any of that breaks down, what happens? We disappoint our customers. And in today's marketplace, and if this is worldwide, I've told Graham I've had the opportunity to do 3 or 4 of these, 2 of them with Microchannel in Australia while I've been here, and I've had everybody say the same thing. Customers are less forgiving today than they've probably ever been, because there's more opportunity to go elsewhere today than there probably has ever been. The internet has narrowed the gap between you and your competitor, because they can go search to see who else can source the material that they might need much more easily. It's called transparency of information. I can go out and research everything. It's oftentimes, and maybe your lives as well, when I go to buy any kind of a major purchase, an appliance, home stereo, TV, by the time I go to the store to buy it, I already know what I want, because I've done all the research online, and I'm simply going somewhere to do the procurement rather than actually do the research. Your customers are no different. It's like that. The ability to make sure you can commit is important. This is just another pictorial of the same scenario in terms of the improved cost and time and degraded cost and time as things go through the oceanic freight and everything else. It points out the fact that the supply chain is not getting easier. So if we think about what we are talking about from a supply chain, it's really 2 processes. That sounds really simple. It's not. One process is, how do I get products in? The other process is, how do I get products out? These simply say, here are the detailed steps that your peers struggle with at times in terms of getting things into the business. It's making sure you understand the supplier's production making sure the quality control is in place. If you're doing EDI and have advanced ship notices, it's taking those advanced ship notices that say, I'm shipping this container on Wednesday, the estimated time in transit is a month, a week, 6 months, and so you can anticipate from that how you would deal with the inbound freight and getting it to you from the process step standpoint. The same thing from an outbound standpoint. By the way, Microchannel has this presentation, and for anyone who would like a copy of it, all you have to do is ask Graham, and he'll get Julie or whomever to get that the presentation to you. So please have at it, be aware that it's available if you'd like it. The same thing here is that you've got to worry about outbound, making sure you've got schedules proper with your carriers to pick up goods, making sure you can monitor if it's a long haul. If I'm shipping goods outside of Australia, making sure I've got some visibility into that shipment process so that, once again, I can commit to my customer that it's on a ship, it's moving at this pace, it's on a truck moving from New South Wales to Western Australia, whatever the scenario might be. It's visibility. It's all about visibility, making sure that I have some level of control and some level of insight into what's going on so I can commit to my customer with some level of accuracy about that supply chain event that's going on. Now, I got a couple cosmic rules that we're going to talk about as we go through the day today. I really felt sorry for this poor little critter because not only did he get run over, but he got painted. You know, the height of really embarrassment is to have stripes down your back when you've been run over. The notion here is when the rate of external change exceeds the rate of internal change of your business, bad things happen. The example I gave when we were in Melbourne a couple of days ago was Borders bookstore. Borders was in Australia, Borders was in North America. What happened to Borders? They're gone. And why? Because they watched while Amazon created their 800-pound gorilla competitor by using the internet to sell and deliver books, while they stayed with brick and mortar for far too long. So when the rate of external change, Amazon came into a marketplace and redefined the category. Borders sat around and said, well, that'll never really work. By the time they jumped into the online business, and by the time they jumped into the Kindle business in terms of electronic books, they were latecomers and they could never catch up. So look at your own businesses from a supply chain practices standpoint. Just gauge yourself. If the rate of your competition is changing, they're doing things that provide your competitive customers the ability to self-select, more transparency of information. Don't wait too long to jump into the game so that you're the borders of the marketplace that you address, because it can happen.